Cold air is sticking around central Indiana. Get ready. Temperatures will be tumbling overnight into the single digits. Thanks for inviting us in at 6 o'clock. We begin with these freezing temperatures that are coming and the potential of more snow.
Also with these cold temperatures, the snow on the ground is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Angela joins us now with what we can expect. I guess that means that big icicle I have outside my house not melting.
Right.
No, it
No
will not be.
dripping.
No dripping. We might get some dripping toward the end of the week. We'll have that in the 7-day, but between now and then, a couple of really cold nights and the coldest of the season coming tomorrow night. Speaking of cold, temperatures right now in the teens. We're at 15 in Indianapolis, Lafayette, Greencastle, Muncie as well. Wind chills in the single digits, if not sub-zero. Feels like 1 in Indianapolis, but we've gone below 0 with a current wind chill of 3 below in Kokomo. Continue to take precautions from the cold. Evening temperatures will stay in the teens under those clear skies, then gradually increasing clouds as our next weather system arrives. It does bring us some snow the early half of tomorrow. It's not a lot of snow, but because of the cold air, anything that does fall will stick, and there will be some slick roads. We're expecting up to an inch the early half of Tuesday. You can see with Future Track 13, we're dry Tuesday at 4 a.m. It'll be sometime around 7, 8 o'clock that we start to see the leading edge of this snow arrive. Light snow up to an inch. I'm going to continue the timeline and get you ready for the coldest night of the season that comes tomorrow night.
Thanks, Angela. Tonight, main roads and interstates are clear after we had those 2 snowstorms here in central Indiana just days apart last week. However, if you go to the residential roads here in Indianapolis, you'll see a different story. Many of them are still snow covered.
And now we're learning that snow plows may never actually come to some of those streets. Our Marion County reporter Lauren Kostick explains a city policy change is leaving neighborhoods on their own.
Before, when Indianapolis would get 6 inches or more of snow, contractors would be brought in to plow residential streets like these in Irvington. But that policy changed in 2020, now leaving many neighborhoods on the hook.
It's just, you feel like, man, no one really cares about you out here. It's crazy.
Tim Donnelly lives near 35th and Fall Creek, watching as many have struggled to get down his street.
The frustration grows because we pay property taxes and it ain't cheap. I get the connector routes and that makes sense to do all the connect, but if you can't get to the connecting routes, you can't get to work.
Currently, DPW first tackles main and secondary roads. Then they clear connector streets. Those are the blue lines on this map. But that means all these gray streets will never see a plow. A policy that even caught Councilor Jared Evans off guard.
Our residential streets are absolutely packed, and if you don't have an HOA, you're left to dig out of this and just wait until we get a warm enough day where the sun comes down and melts it.
A change he calls unacceptable. Council Minority Leader Michael Paul Hart also agrees.
I think that's the biggest frustration is that, we have a responsibility as a city to provide basic levels of services, and it looks like this time we failed.
According to the city, the 6-inch rule was rarely met, and the new policy allows crews to tackle residential roads without relying on snow totals. However, Tim says it's a two-way street. If you pay taxes, you should also receive basic city services.
So really our damage is done, but in the future, they have to really rethink these policies that give us some relief on these streets.
In Indianapolis, Lauren Kostick, 13 News.
Some neighbors also asked 13 News why contractors weren't called in last week to help out on these side streets. According to the city, conditions didn't warrant activating contractors because there was a high probability of icing, and that could make the roads even more dangerous when you removed the snow. Now keep in mind, you can keep track of the falling temps and the chance for snow on our Live Doppler 13 weather app. If you don't have it, why not? Go get it. It's free. All you have to do is download it from your phone's app store, and after you do that, when you get to the app, check out the weather blog, and it's been created and updated by all of our weather team.
The murder trial of a man who's accused of shooting and killing a Special Forces Dutch soldier here in downtown Indy is now underway this week.
Day 1 of testimony just wrapped up, and we had a camera in the courtroom. Rich Nye was operating that camera, joins us live tonight at the Marion County Justice Campus after talking to a woman who now carries on the life of that very soldier. What a unique connection, Rich.
It certainly is. Scott and Anne Marie, Dutch Army Commando Simi Poitsema was in Indiana for urban warfare training. He lost his life in another all too common incident of urban gun violence here in Indianapolis. Shamar Duncan is charged with murder and 2 counts of attempted murder for shooting 3 Dutch soldiers. This happened outside the Hampton Inn in downtown Indianapolis in August of 2022. A group of soldiers were walking to the hotel from a bar when they got into a fight with Duncan and his 2 brothers. A couple minutes later, Duncan drove by in a truck and shot into a crowd of soldiers outside the hotel. Poitsema did not survive, but donated 6 organs to Americans in his death. Stephanie Wilson of Plainfield received his pancreas.
It means the world to me. I am forever grateful to Simi and his family for that. I think he was a great man in what he did. He was a hero, not only here, but in Afghanistan and in the Dutch army. So I am forever grateful.
Those sweatshirts that you saw earlier were made by Simi's family and given to Stephanie and her mother. Simi's mother was the first witness at the trial today, and she testified with an interpreter identifying photos of her son. The defense is not debating that Shamar Duncan shot these soldiers. They are hoping that the jury will find him guilty of a lesser offense of reckless homicide and battery. Scott and Anne Marie, this trial is expected to last most of the week.
We know you continue to keep an eye on it. Rich Nye reporting live. Thanks so much. Tonight at 6, IMPD is still searching for the person who shot and killed a teenage girl.
This happened on the south side of Indianapolis on Saturday. The victim is 14-year-old Deandra Clay Staples. She died at an apartment complex on the south side. Police say that someone found her body in the snow Saturday morning around 11 o'clock at the Laurelwood apartment complex. Her aunt told us that her family last saw her Friday night when she left her home with a group of kids. Her family now desperately wants the person who did this to come forward.
What caused this? What happened? Even whatever it was not enough to gun her down like this. You understand? It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to do this to a child.
Again, she was just 14 years old. So far, no arrests in the case. Police are asking anyone who may have information about what happened to please call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS.
Tonight at 6, we're learning new information about a Texas man who's charged with stalking Caitlin Clark here in Indianapolis. Police have now arrested 55-year-old Michael Lewis after they say he sent numerous threats and sexually explicit messages to the Indiana Fever star. Now, according to the court documents, Lewis visited Indianapolis last week and allegedly made those threats while staying in our city. Authorities say they talked to him at his hotel room last Wednesday, where they told him to stop making threatening comments towards Caitlin Clark. Police arrested Smith on Sunday after the threats continued and then charged him with felony stalking. Well, it is a new day in the governor's office here in our state. Mike Braun took the oath of office this morning, becoming Indiana's 52nd governor.
Right after that, he addressed those who all came to gather for the ceremony that went down at the Hilbert Circle Theater. Our 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker was there and has some of the governor's remarks.
Well, in his inauguration speech today, Governor Braun echoed many of the same things we heard throughout the campaign and also in his recently released agenda. He told those gathered that he was committed to being a governor of not just words, but actions, and it was time to get to work. And Hoosiers got an idea of some of the work Governor Braun hopes to accomplish heading into his first legislative session as governor. Braun talked about addressing property taxes and health care costs. He also addressed education. In his recently released agenda, Indiana's new governor said he wants to implement universal school choice for all Indiana families regardless of their income. He's also called for a new Office of School Safety as part of his cabinet structure and increasing the starting pay for teachers along with performance-based compensation.
We can settle for complacency in our education system or empower parents and prepare our students for the jobs that will power the future.
Republican lawmakers have voiced support for universal school choice. Democrats have said state money should be used to expand pre-K and help families who need help with childcare, not give more state money to vouchers. So day one of Mike Braun as Indiana's new governor. You know, he'll be working in a building he knows pretty well. A decade ago, he was a state representative here before becoming a United States senator. Now he returns to this same building as Indiana's 52nd governor. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.